Hi guys, my name is Jake. I'm building something called the Anti-Corruption Party, and in this video I'm going to kind of give you guys the first official walkthrough of exactly how it works. We're going to be going over the desktop interface. If you want, this is in beta testing mode, so this is public, this is live, and you can join this if you'd like. I do need people to help test this application. I know it's kind of an awkward thing to use as a social media site when there really aren't a lot of people there. But this could be an opportunity to be on the ground floor of something. I really hope that this idea goes far, because at its core, it's a solution to a lot of problems. Whether you're left or right, I think it's pretty clear to see that corruption in our political system has become a problem. This application that I'm building is a social media site that organizes around the idea of fighting that corruption, whether you're on the left or the right. We welcome everyone to stop in and join it and discuss politics, discuss solutions, discuss the corruption, and participate in democracy. The biggest problem that I have right now is I feel like with all the blackmail going on and all the corruption and the bribes and the super PACs, it's pretty clear that we don't really have much of a say in our system anymore. And so I built a system where we could maybe discuss these things. I also feel like it's kind of a conflict of interest where a lot of very powerful people are taking and purchasing up these social media platforms and really taking some of the objective and biased nature out of how these things work. And I think if we're not going to have a biased platform, then we're just going to have left and right platforms the same way we have left and right politics. And once we kind of have that division, it's just going to be used as a tool to control us. So this is a platform that's open to everyone, so long as they're peaceful and professional and tolerant. So long as it's not a toxic platform, I think we could build something that that really might work. And I've been inspired by a lot of different social media sites, and I've been trying to incorporate different features that people would like in different social media sites to try to make this work. I want it to operate kind of like a combination between Facebook and TikTok and MySpace and Twitter, X, maybe even things like Reddit or voting, but also blog sites like Open Secrets and Know Your Reps and the Debt Clock and stuff. So I want to build the functions and the features into this that it's going to take to really build a better idea of what's going on in our government. And I think if we if we have a little bit of faith that this might actually work. So with that, I'm going to start going into the interface here. So you can see it works on the desktop much like Facebook. One thing I'll note is that if you join here, at some point I may have to move this to a production server, in which case we might drop the database, meaning don't put on anything on here that you're not, we might get rid of this stuff. You may have to recreate your profile at some point. But what I will do is I will keep your information, and I will let you know when we launch the official app, so that we can try to get as many people to join and start discussions as possible. I've been building this, I've had this idea for about 10 years now, and I've been building it. I used to have an open source version of this app, but it wasn't as comprehensive, and it couldn't do the customizable things that we wanted it to do, like having polls and having votes, events, boycotts, charities, debates. So basically I'm trying to build all those features in one feature at a time. So each day I'm going to try to log in here, spend a little bit of time on this, and I'm going to try to make sure that I just keep the ball rolling, and then hopefully over this winter we can complete this and maybe get people to start using it, and start building up a grassroots movement of candidates that are not corrupt and that represent us and do the things that we want them to do. So with that, I have different post types. When you click the post, you can just write a general news update post. Hey, how's it going? We can post this. We can add tags. We can make it public or private, so that only your friends can see it or that the public can see it. We can attach a photo. You can also put links in here, and the links will auto-populate. That was one thing I was working on yesterday. That's kind of what this looks like. So if I post it, it should show up right here. We can like it. We can comment on it. It's good. There's still a little bit of stuff that I need to fix here. Like that should be my username. So as you can see, it's maybe not quite perfect, but we should be able to see the comments when we go back in and click on this. So basically the news feed is kind of a constant work in progress. Every time I build one feature, another feature, you know, I've got to basically test all of these features. So on top of just a post here, I can also do a poll where we can say, you know, is solar good? Yes? No? I don't know why it wouldn't be, but let's just hit post. So you can see I still need to do a little bit of work on that. So this is where I would probably go over here, test it in the production environment. We'll try to do the same thing and figure out why that didn't work. So yes, and if it doesn't work here, I can come in here and say, when creating a poll, it doesn't show the options in the news feed. Now, this is called vibe coding. This is where you don't actually have to write the code anymore. AI will just sit here and do it and recompile it and test it out. And basically, since this was posted as a poll, it should pick that up. I'm also going to put in here on posts in the feed, my name shows up, but not my photo, but not my default profile photo. Now this will add this to that queue, and when it's done working on the polls, it'll fix that. So every time I see an issue, I have to report it. So what you guys could do is test this out, and if you see an issue, maybe comment on it and be like, hey, I was testing the polls feature and it didn't work. This helps me out a lot because then I can go and test the polls feature and see if it works, and I can test it out. You have some of the same things that you'd see on other things, on other sites, where you can copy and share, you know, likes or posts and whatnot. You can thumbs down it, you can delete it, or you can flag it. So if I delete this, it should pull it right off of the, there we go, yep. I was having a little bit of problems with that yesterday. So now it's figured out what's going on here, so it's gonna update and fix these issues. So as you can see, I've been doing this for, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 months now. Little bit here and there, and I'm gonna keep updating you guys on the progress of this. I want to also, just as I'm doing this, maybe make better use of my time to basically like have transparency in how this app is being built. I think it's important that people see what's going on behind the scenes, but I want to also get you up to speed, so I'm going to start going over some of the other features and some of the ideas here. The polls and some of the other things on this platform are going to work with what would be called blockchain voting, and I'd like to also do something called ranked choice voting. Blockchain voting gives us the ability to make sure that your vote is counted and it cannot be manipulated or changed in any way. The same way a transaction on Bitcoin cannot be falsified. You can't just be like, oh, well, that person gave me money, but no, you'd have to basically authenticate it, and in order to do that, you can prove where the money has gone. With all that being said, basically you can control, or you can confirm that your vote's going to be counted, but also that it cannot be falsified in any way. So everybody will be able to see exactly how many people voted on a thing, and there'll be relatively no way of falsifying that. So you'll have a lot of authenticity and accuracy, and people can trust that you know, their vote is being counted and their voice is being heard. Events are pretty important, I think. Oh, it's going to refresh here. Events are pretty important to the whole overall concept of the whole party, because we have to have events, we have to have protests, we have to have, you know, we have to get the word out on this. You know, pretty much every social media site has an events page, so I'm not going to go over that too much. Charities would be similar to building out a system, kind of like, you know, Caring Bridge, or, you know, what's that other one? You know, I think GoFundMe is kind of like a more of a Kickstarter type app, but maybe more on the charity side of it, where we're trying to raise money for good causes, good initiatives, not necessarily for politicians, but ideally to give money directly to the people that need it. Boycotts would be, if there are big brands out there that are really toxic to our environment, our economy or whatever, if they're just toxic in general, bad workforce, or they're maybe using forced labor or something really bad, you could put a boycott in here, and people can go in here and browse these boycotts and say, oh, well, I didn't know this company was using sweatshops, and on top of that, it can give you an alternative source to something to replace that. Initiatives in most states, there's some things called civil initiatives. This is how they passed marijuana in Colorado. Was if enough people sign a petition, they can get it put on a ballot, and then they can put it to a vote, and you can bypass the representative democracy. This is a very powerful thing in a direct democracy, because in the states where civil initiatives are exist, we can essentially pass laws and bills without really having to deal with the corrupt politicians that are already in place. So the civil initiatives is a really good opportunity for us to reconnect the voice to what people want. It's more of a direct democracy rather than a representative situation. Obviously, petitions are going to be, if you believe in something, you sign it. If you get enough signatures, you can deliver that to the politicians and say, hey, this many people believe this, and whatever. I think unions are great. We need a place to form and organize unions. Like, there's a lot of toxic employers out there that just take advantage of their employees. I think people are really getting sick of it. Unionization is at an all-time low, and unions throughout history, when we have a higher ratios of union workers in our country, we tend to have a happier standard of living. Unions take care of their people. They tend to earn more. They get better benefits. I think a lot of people just really don't know how to organize a union in a way that that can really get them the things they want. I think in a lot of cases, when people talk about minimum wage, and there should be laws passed about this, I think, but there could also be collective labor organization, just simply a place where we can get together and say, hey, maybe if we don't like the fact that the fast food workers aren't making a living wage, maybe we don't need a law. Maybe we can just form unions, and we can sort of do this old-fashioned way by setting up strikes. And I think there should also be a place that maybe people could help support the people that decide to unionize, because it's a very risky thing. A lot of the ways these big corporations win is they pay people so little that they cannot afford to unionize, and that's difficult because it puts the people that have to make these decisions in an awkward position. Do they stop making money for a week and potentially lose their house over trying to get a raise? And that can be a position that nobody wants to be in, and that's how sometimes the big corporations win and the unions never even form to begin with. But I think once people see the effectiveness of this, they might start doing that. Debates are going to be a really big point of contention in this, because we need to discuss these issues. So the idea of a debate is we'd set up a live stream event where people can watch, questions get asked to candidates in real time, and people can have those discussions, and you can kind of decide which side you're on, who would win the debate, who makes the better arguments. But I think it will cover some of the points that need to be made about certain political issues. People that really research this stuff. So those are the different post types that I have as of right now. Eventually there may be more of these. Coming up here, I have a couple other, different types of things. Live streams this is, essentially a ability to connect OBS to, which is the software that I'm using to do live streams for Facebook or YouTube. We want to be able to connect this here too. Anything that Facebook or YouTube or these other sites want to do, I'm trying to build a system that allows us to do the same thing. So ideally, if you could go live, you could set this up where people can watch you do a live stream or whatever. This is a friend finder, so you can basically connect some of your social media accounts if you want. Some people probably want to remain private, but you can search friends here. So basically, once a lot of people start using this app, you'll be able to find more and more people on here. Messages, this would be, you can either have group chats or you can have messages. I kind of wanted this to work somewhat like Slack or Discord, in that I want people to have channels of discussion that they can get into. So when you join a group, maybe there's a channel discussion and people in that group can chat in real time. Your reps is an important part of this. It's been a little buggy, but I'm going to try to do my zip code here where, yeah, I don't think it's going to work on the public side of this. It might work on this side though, because I probably didn't connect my key yet. 55376. Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out why that's not working right now, but basically this is supposed to search all of your representatives that are tied back to this zip code. So the big benefit of this is most people don't even know who their representatives are. So this will actually tell you who they are, and if there's a corruption scorecard that exists on that politician, you'll see it. So I'm running for president. My campaign is that if you diddled a kid, I'm going to cut off your weenie. Vote for me, right? So these candidate positions all kind of exist from the admin panel back end. I haven't really fully built all of this stuff out yet, but you can see, like, I can create political positions here, like President of the United States. These positions stay, however, the politicians, they may change over time. This gives us the ability to grade a politician. I picked Bernie Sanders as an example of a grassroots candidate who didn't really take a lot of money from special interest groups. Some people might disagree with this assessment. This is just to show you kind of how it works. Some of these people I don't even really necessarily know who they are. You know, I definitely don't think DT or Mike Johnson are examples of non-corrupt politics. They may be doing what their people want them to do, but I don't really think that they're representing us very well. It's part of the reasons that I'm building this party. And a lot of that's because I think that they're being blackmailed. I think that, you know, beyond just taking money from corrupt special interest groups, they're also doing these terrible things that we're seeing in these files. They're doing those things in order to get information and to get inside of the intelligence groups that allow them to do whatever they want. It looks like Replit just finished my my suggestion here, so maybe we could try adding another poll, test poll. Test 1, test 2, create poll. And then now you see it should pop up on the feed where you'll see, you know, what looks like some of the polls that I was putting up before. These must have been other polls I had previously added, but we can vote on some of these. Yep, looks like the poll feature still needs a little bit of work, so. This poll just went in, I posted it, other polls showed up, but I can't see the one I posted or vote on the other ones. So I put it back to work. I go back here, we'll keep moving through some of the options. You're seeing some of the back end side of things, like I can add polls from the administrator side of it. I can also, you know, there's security where we can see if, you know, there's malicious IPs being used, or if bots start showing up on here and really start taking things over, we can ban them. Databases. This would be just data that we need to know, you know, as people join the system, we're going to have to manage this database. The algorithm settings, as I kind of already mentioned, like you can tweak that algorithm a little bit. And then also we want to try to get as many people to subscribe to the ACP Plus plan as possible. The Plus plan would be how this site makes money and how we keep it ad-free, but it's kind of a voluntary system. And what you get for the ACP Plus is you would get essentially a small cryptocurrency. You get a little bit of this money that you can then turn around and use to buy up themes or whatever you want to customize your profile. So this is kind of what the profile looks like, and this was inspired by MySpace in that it was very expressive in how people could basically share and express themselves the way they want to. You know, I think this is, you know, you can have a bio, you can have all these things, but you can also add these modules, badges, or, you know, whatever. But some of these might be plus site, you know, ACP Plus modules. So you can buy a custom widget or a media hub or something. If you subscribe to ACP Plus, some of the more advanced modules, you can just add these there. And you can also change the colors and whatnot. So there's got to be something, there's got to be some motivation to get people to like purchase these things and and essentially pay some money. So I figured that this would be a way to earn some money and generate some revenue to fund the platform and fund the development and whatnot, but also not really impact the voting or the integrity of what we're trying to accomplish here. So back to the feed here, you can kind of see on the left side we have groups. You can add and join groups. You can see the friends online just like you would see other people, but since there's nobody on the platform right now, you don't see that yet. You can share and invite people to the platform, and whenever you invite them, you would get 20 credits without even having to pay for it. So if you want free abilities to customize your profiles, you don't have to necessarily pay us, but you could just share this with somebody, and if they sign up, you get the free credits, or you get the credits to customize your profile the way you want to customize it. Kind of moving on, we have trending topics. These would be things that, as more and more hashtags get used, we can try to see what are the things in the news that people want to talk about. It's other than that, it's a pretty straightforward social media site. I could probably keep going on and on, but I think you guys kind of get the picture of where it's at and what I'm building. Each day I'm going to try to do some updates, and I'm going to post things in here as to what I'm updating. I'm going to say fixed issues with polling, not displaying properly on the feed. And so every day I'm going to post, all right, here's where we're at. And if you guys want to try this out and maybe give me some feedback as to like what is working, what isn't working, maybe what kind of features you'd want to see. Maybe there's an idea you've always had that you've always wanted to see in Facebook or in a different social media site, and maybe you want to add that to this. Just go in here and try it out, test it out. There's not a lot of restrictions. It's pretty easy to make an account right now. It is online. The website URL is anticorruptionparty.us. That's a domain that I've owned for about 7-8 years now. I have it finally all pointed straight towards this. It doesn't have an SSL cert right now, but you don't have to really worry about that. Maybe be careful what passwords you use. Come up with something original, just until we're sure that all the security stuff is actually like completed. And I have a handful of security tasks that I still have to go through to make sure that this is locked down and safe. But for the most part, I'm just trying to make sure it's functional. And if you guys want to, give it a shot. Other than that, you guys can follow me on TikTok for more updates, or follow this channel. So like, comment, subscribe. But test it out. Let me know what you guys think. I'm at the point where I really need some feedback on this. So, basically, it's all going to get wiped at some point. So don't keep anything permanent here. But maybe share this with some other people too, and just say, what do you guys think about this? Like, maybe this is a solution to some of the problems that we're having, and maybe this is a way to take back democracy in a way that's peaceful. Because I feel like if we don't do that now, if we don't find a peaceful way to do it, it's gonna probably end up becoming a violent method, and I don't want to see that. Like, I think that we really need to, we can only take so much for so long. Like, the cracks are forming, we're seeing the system collapse. But who's going to be there to pick up the pieces? Like, how are we going to put this society back together if it does collapse? And if it doesn't, how can we maybe stop that collapse? How can we maybe stop things from falling apart and break this cycle of the lesser of two evils? I think we're at a point now where a lot of people say, well, third parties don't work, whatever. I think we're at a point now where we have to admit that a third party has to work. Otherwise, we're done. Like, we're cooked. So I know I've kind of been rambling a little bit, but that's the overview, and that's where I'm at so far. Hope you guys like this. It's going to take some faith. I really need some people to just believe in this and understand that all this stuff starts somewhere. So, if you want an ad-free platform that's fast, responsive, and not owned by the ultra elite, try it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. Bye.